Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. US President Joe Biden to host UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer next week for White House talks, focus on conflicts in Gaza and Ukraine. Big relief for Donald Trump in hush money trial case, sentencing delayed until November 26th. Boeing Starliner capsule returns home, leaves astronauts behind at the International Space Station. In sports, Indian para-athlete Praveen Kumar bagged 6th gold medal as India's tally rises to 26. And top seed Yannick Sinner reaches US Open final for the first time, ends Jack Draper's run in a hard-fought display. US President Joe Biden will host British Prime Minister Keir Starmer for talks in Washington next week. The talks are expected to touch on the conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza and other issues. Next Friday's meeting with the leader of America's closest allies comes as Biden looks to step up engagement on the international stage in his final months in office. This would be Starmer's second visit since he was elected earlier this summer. He visited the White House 2 months ago for a one-on-one talks with Biden when he was in Washington for the NATO summit. There is big relief for Donald Trump in a hush money trial case. A New York court delayed former US president's sentencing in Manhattan hush money criminal trial after the November election. The New York judge on Friday delayed the sentencing to 26 November, citing the unique time frame this matter currently finds itself in among his reasons. A New York jury in May convicted Trump on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, the first time a sitting or former president has been convicted of a crime. The Republican White House candidate had been scheduled to be sentenced on September 18th for falsifying business records during a scheme to silence an adult star. Former US President and Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has welcomed the delay in his New York hush money trial sentencing. Trump expressed relief over the postponement of the trial, labeling it as political interference in the 2024 election.
Big news today is that the Manhattan DA witch hunt against me has been postponed because everyone realizes that there was no case because I did nothing wrong. It's a witch hunt. It's an attack by my political opponents in Washington, D.C. and Comrade Kamala Harris and radical left opponents for purposes of election interference. That's all that was.
Ahead of next week's debate, U.S. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump mocked his Democrat rival and current Vice President Kamala Harris on Friday. Trump said over the past 4 years, Kamala Harris and the radical Democrat Party have led a war on law enforcement in America. They're against you so strongly, he added, that Kamala's crimes wave will end the day I will take the office. But no crime Kamala has committed against the rule of law is worse than her nation-wrecking border invasion. Let's get to updates from Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Russia's defense ministry said that Russian forces have taken control of 6 villages over the period between August 31st and September 6th in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region on Friday.
As a result of active and decisive actions by units of the Center Group of Forces, the settlements of Kirovo, Vaich, Skuchny, Karlovka, Zavatin and Zruaka of the Donetsk People's Republic were liberated. Formations of the 5 mechanized infantry, ranger, airborne assault brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine, a National Guard brigade and a territorial defense brigade were defeated. 53 counter-attacks of units of the armed forces of Ukraine were repelled.
населенные пункты.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz held talks on Friday with French President Emmanuel Macron on various issues related to Ukraine and Gaza conflicts. The two leaders discussed the importance of maintaining support for Ukraine and the need for a ceasefire in Gaza during the talks. According to the French presidency, the two leaders expressed their determination to support Ukraine for as long as intensively as necessary in its fight against Russia. Amidst the ongoing fierce conflict with Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin made a big statement and named India along with China and Brazil as possible mediators to establish peace. The statement sees reflection from India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi's serious efforts for peace between the warring parties, a situation that was inflicting upon global food and energy insecurity. Here's a report.
Since the outbreak of conflict suddenly between Russia and Ukraine on February 24, 2022, Prime Minister Modi had been expressing concern on its global fallout. While reverberations on problems of such a conflict were being felt by many, it was Prime Minister Narendra Modi who took the first plunge to talk directly to Russian President Vladimir Putin and made high pitch to stop the war. On September 16, 2022, in Samarkand of Uzbekistan, Prime Minister Modi, in his bilateral meeting on the sidelines of SCO summit with Putin, said the irrelevance of the war by saying the famous words, "This is not an era of war."
आज का युग युद्ध का है नहीं और हमने फोन पर भी कई बार आपसे इस विषय में बात की है कि डेमोक्रेसी और डिप्लोमेसी और डायलॉग ये सारी बातें ऐसी हैं कि जो दुनिया को एक स्पर्श करती हैं। आने वाले दिनों में शांति के रास्ते पर हम कैसे बढ़ सके उसके विषय में जरूर आज हमें चर्चा करने का मौका मिलेगा। आपका व्यू पॉइंट समझने का मुझे भी एक अवसर मिलेगा।
Prime Minister Modi's bold statement was recognized and appreciated by leaders of most countries, including America. Prime Minister had used the relations between India and Russia and his own personal equation with Putin for depicting irrelevance of such a war. Prime Minister Narendra Modi kept in touch with all stakeholders of peace, including Americans and Ukrainians. Primarily, the consistency made Putin feel India can honestly play a role in the war that is in no one's benefit. On July 9, 2024, Prime Minister Modi visited Russia amidst the conflict that raised eyebrows among many. This was the time when an Ukrainian child hospital was hit by Russian missile, and PM Modi condemned this incident from Russian soil, signaling that he was not in favor of such indecent behavior amidst any conflict. On August 27, 2024, the two leaders exchanged views on the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict over a phone call. Prime Minister shared insights from his recent visit to Ukraine. He underlined the importance of dialogue and diplomacy, as well as sincere and practical engagement between all stakeholders to achieve an abiding and peaceful resolution of the conflict. Before that, on his visit to Ukraine on August 24, Prime Minister Modi said that India was not neutral. In his opening remarks during talks with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, PM Modi said India was on the side of peace.
हम न्यूट्रल नहीं थे, हम पहले दिन से ही पक्षकार रहे हैं और हमारा पक्ष है शांति का।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, before reaching Ukraine, was in Poland, from where he said that no problems can be solved on the battlefield. He emphasized India's support for dialogue and diplomacy for the early restoration of peace and stability.
भारत का यह दृढ़ विश्वास है कि किसी भी समस्या का समाधान रणभूमि में नहीं हो सकता। किसी भी संकट में मासूम लोगों की जान की हानि पूरी मानवता के लिए सबसे बड़ी चुनौती बन गई है। हम शांति और स्थिरता की जल्द से जल्द बहाली के लिए डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी का समर्थन करते हैं।
In between, Prime Minister Modi was also in constant touch with US President Joe Biden for creating an atmosphere of peace. Akhilesh Suman's report for DD India.
Boeing's beleaguered Starliner undocked the International Space Station on Friday, leaving behind its first crew of U.S. astronauts to return to Earth empty and finish a drawn-out test mission fraught with technical issues. NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams, who became the first two to fly Starliner in June, remained on the space station with 7 other astronauts 250 miles in orbit as Starliner autonomously departed the laboratory at 22:04 GMT for a 6-hour journey towards Earth. The 2 astronauts bid farewell to a capsule whose propulsion system problems stretched their 8-day test into an 8-month mission. Stoked with extra food and supplies, Wilmore and Williams will instead return on a SpaceX vehicle in February 2025. Since then, Boeing engineers have uploaded new software to Starliner that allows it to come back without a crew inside. The return trip will be a key test for Starliner's maneuvering capability. Amid the ongoing anti-government protests in Venezuela, the Argentine Foreign Ministry on Friday announced that it will request the International Criminal Court to issue arrest orders against Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and other members of his government over events following the July presidential election. Now, according to a statement, the South American government will present an investigation named Situation in the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela on Monday about incidents after the election, which they say could be considered crimes against humanity. Venezuela's National Electoral Authority and its top court have said Maduro was the winner of the election with just over half of the votes, but tallies shared by the opposition show a resounding victory for the opposition. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken vowed that the United States would enforce sanctions against Venezuela. The U.S. on Monday seized Maduro's plane in the Dominican Republic, saying the aircraft was purchased for $13 million using a shell company to skirt U.S. sanctions. The U.S. Secretary of State is on a visit to the Dominican Republic, which days earlier seized the airplane from President Maduro. The move comes as the U.S. presses Venezuela to release detailed vote tallies from July elections, voicing skepticism that Maduro secured another term as electoral authorities announced.
We are deeply concerned about the trajectory in Venezuela in the wake of elections where the will of the Venezuelan people could not have been more clear, but unfortunately that will and their votes were not reflected.
Let's get to other updates now. Asia's strongest storm this year, Super Typhoon Yagi, made landfall in southern China on Friday as it forced more than 1 million evacuations, shuttered schools and businesses, disrupted travel, and raised alarms about the risks of landslides and floods. On Friday night, Yagi crossed Guangzhou Strait north of Hainan and made its second landfall in Guangdong. The storm weakened as it moved into the Gulf of Tonkin and was rapidly reorganizing overnight. Over the next 12 hours, the storm will intensify to 130 miles per hour before it makes landfall near Haiphong in Vietnam on Saturday. Wildfires continue to ablaze western Peru. Wildfires in the South American nation have destroyed almost 2,600 hectares, forcing residents to flee their homes amid wildfires and thick smoke. A state of emergency was declared in Cajamarca to allow planes from the Ministry of Defense aid the efforts of fire brigades, police, army, and even locals to battle the flames. An El Nino weather system forecast is said to be among the strongest in recent history, has been contributing to an array of disasters from floods to fires. And smoke from wildfires filled the air in Labria in Brazil's state of Amazonas, with residents fearing for their health. In late August, all 62 municipalities in Amazonas declared a state of emergency due to severe drought and fires that caused heavy smoke to spread. The National Space Research Agency said that they recorded over 38,000 active fires in the Amazon in August this year. This is the highest since 2005. Brazil's National Institute of Meteorology has maintained an orange alert for low humidity across 17 stages in 4 different regions of the country, where relative humidity levels have ranged from 12% to 20%, including the Amazonas, Rio de Janeiro, and Espírito Santo, the Brazilian agency said on Thursday. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, India successfully launches intermediate-range ballistic missile Agni 4 from the integrated test range in Chandipur district of Odisha. The 10-day festive extravaganza begins. Ganesh Chaturthi being celebrated with much fanfare across the nation. Home favourite Jessica Pegula will take on title favourite Aryna Sabalenka in the US Open final. Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday met Aki Abe, the wife of Japanese late former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, and fondly recalled his personal friendship with him. She is on her Delhi visit. Prime Minister Modi also expressed his appreciation for Aki Abe's ongoing engagement with India. Sharing a post on social media platform X, Abe sans belief in the potential of India-Japan relations that will remain a source of enduring strength for us. Deeply appreciate Mrs. Abe's continuing association with India, wrote the Prime Minister. India successfully launched the intermediate range ballistic missile Agni-4. The launch was successfully carried out from the integrated test range in Chandipur district of Odisha. The launch successfully validated all operational and technical parameters. It was conducted under the aegis of Strategic Forces Command. The Agni missiles are long-range, nuclear weapons capable, surface-to-surface ballistic missiles. In a landmark revelation, a recent study published in the Nature magazine has highlighted the transformative impact of India's Swachh Bharat mission. The report, authored by researchers from the International Food Policy Research Institute, University of California and Ohio State University, demonstrates how eradicating open defecation has saved up to 70,000 infant lives annually. We now take a look at the comprehensive report filed by our correspondent, Debendu Mondal.
Since its launch in 2014, the Swachh Bharat mission has been credited with a radical change in India's public health landscape. This new research indicates that the mission's focus on sanitation has led to a substantial reduction in infant mortality rate. The paper reveals that between 2015 and 2020, infant mortality rate in India declined 3 times faster when compared to the period from 2000 to 2015. Not just this, the study also reveals that the rate of reduction in infant mortality reached as high as 9% in the post-Swachh Bharat mission era.
When you can see the aggregate data, which is what we do as scientists, we have to rely on the data and the empirics to come up with our conclusions, not just anecdotes. So then we decided that we must test this rigorously. The theory behind this is basically that improvements in sanitation prevent the spread of disease, because any unclean environment will be a place where disease will breed. And especially in rural communities where healthcare access might be low, that might be a big factor there for the spread of disease. And so the theory is basically you reduce the exposure of or the levels of fecal matter in the environment and the disease burden should go down. And then if the disease burden goes down, infant death should go down. So that's the causal link, and that's the link that we explored.
The Swachh Bharat mission has brought in profound behavioral changes across the country. And under the Modi administration, the coverage of toilets increased dramatically, leading to the eradication of open defecation across the country, increasing sanitation and hygiene across every district in India.
There's also child nutrition outcomes which have been affected. So some literature suggests that this is work by Dean Spears, I believe, that toilet access improves child height, and that so it's basically called stunting and anthropometric failure. That is an indicator of long-term sort of cognitive and health development, and if that improves, then you can expect to see long-term improvements for a person's life. So that has also been linked to sanitation.
The Swachh Bharat mission's benefits extend beyond sanitation. The study finds that areas with higher toilet coverage also report better health outcomes and greater use of piped water supply, suggesting that programs like the Jal Jeevan Mission, which has expanded rural piped water coverage from 16% to over 78% in just 5 years, have amplified these positive impacts. As the study shows, Swachh Bharat mission is not just transforming India's sanitation landscape, but is also, in fact, driving a profound change in the public health outcomes of India, saving thousands of lives every year. In fact, a cleaner India is, of course, a healthier India. With camera person Gaurav Giri, this is Dibyendu Mondal from New Delhi for DD India.
Devotees across India are celebrating a popular Hindu festival, Ganesh Chaturthi, also known as Vinayak Chaturthi, on Saturday. This auspicious occasion honors the birth of Lord Ganesha, the elephant-headed deity revered for his wisdom, prosperity and good fortune. Colorful decorations, prayers and delicious food characterize this 10-day festival. People come together to create beautiful pandals, decorate their homes with colorful lights and flowers and offer prayers to Lord Ganesha. On the eve of Ganesh Chaturthi, India's Vice President also extended greetings and best wishes to citizens of the country. And now we get to updates from Paris Paralympics 2024. Day 9 for the Indian para contingent ended on another phenomenal note as India secured 2 medals on Friday. Praveen Kumar bagged India's 6th gold medal at the Paralympics, while Hokato Hotose Sema won a bronze in the shot put final. Praveen Kumar competed in men's high jump T64 category, clearing 2.08 meters to claim his 2nd consecutive Paralympic medal, marking a remarkable continuation of his success on the international stage. Praveen now becomes only the 2nd Indian after Mariyappan Thangavelu to win gold in Paralympic high jump event. Also, Sema bagged the bronze medal with a best throw of 14.65 meters in the F57 class. With it, India's historic medal tally at Paris Paralympics rose to 27. In tennis, world number 1 Yannick Sinner comfortably eased his way into the final of the men's singles at the US Open 2024 on Friday. The Italian star defeated United Kingdom's Jack Draper in a straight set match of the semi-final. It is also the first time that Sinner qualified for the finals at Flushing Meadows after crashing out in the pre-quarters last year. Draper had won 15 sets in a row until the quarterfinals, but was found to be going tough against Sinner. With the win, Sinner now becomes the first Italian man to qualify for the US Open singles final. The 23-year-old will face the winner of the All-American semi-final between Francis Tiafoe and Taylor Fritz. Meanwhile, in women's singles, home favourite Jessica Pegula will take on title favourite Aryna Sabalenka in the final of US Open on Saturday. It will also be a rematch of their Cincinnati clash from less than a month ago, where Sabalenka emerged victorious. World number 2 Sabalenka, the double Australian Open champion, has made the final in New York for a 2nd successive year after finishing runner-up to Coco Gauff in 2023. Meanwhile, Pegula is in her first major final at the age of 30 after stunning top seed Iga Swiatek in the quarterfinals and then mounting an astonishing comeback to beat Karolina Muchova in the semi-finals. And now we get to updates from the world of entertainment. British actor Sienna Miller and her partner, actor Ollie Green, made an appearance at the Venice Film Festival on Friday. Miller attended a presentation of short films in the festival's Sidebar Horizons section at the Sala Gardeno venue. Ollie Green is also expected to walk the festival's main red carpet on Saturday for the premiere of Kevin Costner's Horizon and American Chapter 2. Hollywood megastar Jennifer Lopez sent fans into a frenzy on Friday as she walked the red carpet at the Toronto International Film Festival. Jennifer Lopez, who made global headlines last month when she filed for divorce from Ben Affleck, was in Toronto promoting her upcoming sport drama movie Unstoppable. The movie, which had its world premiere at the festival on Friday, also stars Moonlight's Jarrell Jerome and Don Cheadle. That's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and now you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.